Your kindness is your cage. You were taught it was a virtue, a golden currency that would buy you affection, loyalty, and respect. But in the cold, brutal marketplace of human attraction, your agreeableness is a liability. She didn't see a partner. She saw a project, a servant, a mirror that only reflected what she wanted to see. She didn't reject a man. She discarded a tool that had served its purpose. You weren't left behind. You were made obsolete. Think back to her face in that final moment. Was there sadness in her eyes? Was there regret? No. There was boredom. The flat, emotionless gaze of a predator who has finished her meal and is already scanning the horizon for the next hunt. Tragedy to her. You were an inconvenience that had been resolved. You played by the rules of a game she had no intention of honoring. You thought being the nice guy was the path to her heart, but it was a direct path to her contempt. She didn't want a supplicant. She wanted a challenge, and you, with your constant validation and your desperate need for her approval, were the furthest thing from a challenge. You were a solved puzzle. Remember that night? The one you replay in your mind in the darkest hours before dawn. You were at a bar, a party, some social gathering designed to feel like an opportunity, but engineered to be a judgment. You spent an hour, maybe more, carefully constructing the perfect, inoffensive conversation. You validated her every opinion. You laughed at jokes that weren't funny. You agreed with hollow ideas you secretly despised. You were the perfect gentleman, the safe choice, the human equivalent of a warm blanket. You even asked her what she wanted to do next, where she thought you both should go, handing her the reins of the entire interaction, effectively communicating that you had no direction of your own. You were a ship without a captain, begging for a port. Then he walked in. He didn't ask. He decided. He didn't agree. He challenged. He interrupted her story, not out of rudeness, but out of a confidence so profound it didn't require permission to speak. He made a joke, slightly at her expense, and then he didn't invite her to the dance floor. He told her, "We're dancing," with a smirk that was both a command and an invitation to an adventure. You watched from your corner, holding the overpriced drink you had bought for her, a monument to your own inadequacy. You saw a flicker in her eyes you had never, not once, seen directed at you. It wasn't the calm, placid look of comfort she gave you. It was fire. It was the raw, untamed thrill of the unknown. In that single, soul-crushing instant, your entire philosophy of being nice was publicly executed, and you were left as the sole mourner at its funeral. There is a fundamental truth that modern culture has tried to systematically bury under mountains of empty platitudes and social programming. Power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Not the brute, clumsy force of a tyrant, but the quiet, unshakable internal power of a man who knows his own path and is utterly unafraid to walk it, with or without her. Society will tell you that women want sensitivity, emotional openness, and a partner who is their equal in every way. But their biology, the ancient, primal wiring in their DNA that has survived millennia of evolution, responds to something else entirely. It responds to the man who can lead, the man who presents a challenge, the man whose approval is not given away freely like a cheap flyer, but must be earned. This is the great, unspoken paradox of attraction, the secret engine humming beneath the surface of all male-female dynamics, the female shadow desire. It is a instinctual craving for the very masculine energy they are publicly taught to condemn and privately yearn for. It is the desire for the man who is not safe, but who makes them feel safe because he is so competent in his own power. You have been trying to appeal to her modern sensibilities while completely ignoring her ancient soul. And you have been paying the price. You have been playing a game where you were taught all the wrong rules. You were trained to build a comfortable, predictable prison for two and call it a relationship, but the door was never locked. You were simply conditioned to believe it was, too afraid to even check the handle. What if you could burn that prison to the ground? What if you could unlearn every self-sabotaging instinct, every people-pleasing reflex, and awaken the core of authentic masculine power that she, and every woman, secretly craves but will never, ever admit to wanting? This is not about becoming a monster or an abuser. It's about ceasing to be a ghost. It's about becoming a man whose presence is not a question, but a statement. In the next few minutes, I will give you the first weapon to begin this war for your own soul. But I must warn you, once you pick it up, you can never go back to pretending you are a harmless pacifist. Your comfortable, convenient illusions about the world, about women, and about yourself will be shattered beyond repair. Before we arm you for the battle ahead, there is a toll. Declaration of your intent. Subscribe to this channel now. Activate all notifications so you never miss a strategic briefing. Strike the like button as a first act of defiance against the weakness you are now leaving behind. And in the comments, I want to see the front line. Report your location. Tell me the city, the state, or the country from which you are joining this insurgency. I want a map of the men who are drawing a line in the sand today. The men who are ready to stop asking for respect and start commanding it. Your transformation begins with this first, simple act of allegiance. Your authority did not vanish in a single, cataclysmic event. It was not stolen from you in a dramatic confrontation. It was surrendered. Piece by piece, in 1,000 silent, seemingly insignificant transactions where you chose comfort over respect, agreeableness over authenticity. This was not a swift execution. It was a slow poisoning, a self-administered dose of weakness you mistook for kindness. The fall is never visible. It happens in the quiet hesitation before you speak, in the yes you utter out of fear, in the apology you offer for a crime you never committed. No one is coming to save you, because you were the one who unlocked the cage and willingly stepped inside. You must now perform your own strategic analysis, a cold, brutal deconstruction of your own defeat. We will diagnose the sickness so you can finally begin to administer the cure. The first phase of your decline was emotional concession. It began with the small things, the questions you thought were considerate, but were actually declarations of your own inadequacy. Where do you want to eat, you'd ask, believing you were being collaborative. What she heard was, I have no plan. I have no desires of my own. I am a vessel for your decisions. Please, lead me. You transferred the mental burden of decision-making to her, a fundamentally masculine responsibility. And in doing so, you handed her the first brick of her throne. She won. Every time you deferred to her preference in movies, in music, in the plans for your weekend, you were not being accommodating. You were training her to see you as a subordinate. You thought you were building a democracy, but in the primal court of attraction, there is no democracy. There is a leader and a follower. By refusing to lead, you assigned yourself the role of the follower, and she, by necessity, had to take the lead. But a woman does not desire a man she must lead. She may tolerate him, she may even find him useful, but she will never, ever respect him. She will never feel that deep cellular thrill of surrender for a man who has already surrendered to her. Think of a specific instance. You're deciding on a vacation. You present her with a dozen brochures, websites, and options. You spend hours researching what you think she might like. You ask her to choose, to give you the final say. You are working for her approval, not planning an adventure for the both of you. You are an employee, not a partner. The powerful man, the man who commands respect, operates from a different reality. He says, "We're going to the mountains in the fall. I've booked a cabin. Pack for cold weather." He has a vision. He has a plan. He executes. He is not a tyrant. He has likely considered her preferences, but the decision, the forward momentum, originates from him. He creates the world and invites her into it. You, on the other hand, asked her to create the world and then begged for a passport. This dynamic bled into every corner of your life. At a party, your friends suggest going to another bar. You look at her, a silent question in your eyes, waiting for her nonverbal permission. You have just announced to your entire social circle that she is your commanding officer. You gave her veto power over your own life, and she learned to use it. The loss of control wasn't a hostile takeover. It was a voluntary abdication. The second phase was your insatiable search for validation. Having surrendered your own internal compass, you began to rely on her as your North Star. Approval became your oxygen. Her smile was your success. Her frown was your failure. You started outsourcing your self-esteem. Remember asking her how you looked in a new shirt? The question itself was the mistake. It communicated that your own opinion was insufficient. You needed her to validate your choice, your taste, your very identity. A man with an unshakable core wears what he wants because he likes it. His confidence is the accessory that makes any clothing look good. Your neediness was a constant, low-frequency hum of insecurity that she could feel in her bones. He tested you, and you failed. The test wasn't the shirt. The test was your reaction to her non-committal, "It's fine." Your face fell. Your energy deflated. You had just shown her that a single, lukewarm word from her had the power to destroy your emotional state. You gave her the keys to your own internal control panel. This dependency metastasized. You would tell a joke in a group and immediately your eyes would dart to her, searching for her laugh. She didn't laugh. The joke died in your throat, and you felt a hot flush of shame. You were no longer performing for the group. You were auditioning for an audience of one. This is the psychology of a court jester, not a king. You constantly monitored her, trying to calibrate your behavior to her moods. Is she bored? You became a hyper-vigilant servant, so focused on managing her emotional state that you completely neglected your own. You ceased to be a man with his own purpose, his own thoughts, his own unshakable presence. You became a mirror, reflecting back whatever you thought she wanted to see. But no one is attracted to a mirror for long. Eventually, they get tired of seeing their own reflection and go in search of a window to a different world. You were so desperate for her to like you that you erased everything about yourself that she could have potentially respected. This led directly into the third, and perhaps most pathetic phase, affective dependency. Your emotional well-being became completely enmeshed with hers. If she had a bad day at work, you had a bad night. Her anxiety became your panic. Her stress became your turmoil. You acted like a human sponge, absorbing her negative emotions in a misguided attempt to support her. You thought you were being empathetic, but you were actually being weak. A woman does not want a man who drowns with her. She wants a lighthouse that can guide her to shore. She wants a rock, an unmovable object that her emotional storms can break against, not a flimsy raft that gets tossed around by her waves. Consider this scenario. She comes home, slams her bag on the table, and sighs heavily. Weak man, the man you were, immediately tenses up. His mind races. What's wrong? What did I do? Is she mad at me? He approaches her with a nervous energy. Honey, what is it? Talk to me. He is not offering support. He is begging for reassurance that he is not the cause of her pain. He has made her problem about his own insecurity. The powerful man, the man you must become, observes the same scene and his internal state remains unchanged. He is calm. He is grounded. He might continue what he is doing, and after a moment say, "Tough day," without a hint of anxiety in his voice. He is not cold. He is stable. He is communicating. My world is not shaken by your mood. I am here. I am strong. When you are ready to talk, my strength will be here for you. He provides a sanctuary, not a shared prison cell. By reacting to her every emotional shift, you told her that she was the sun and you were just a pale moon reflecting her light. You communicated that without her happiness, your own was impossible. This is not love. It is a hostage situation, and you were the one who handed her the gun. The final phase, the one that seals your fate, is the breaking of the silence. But you do it from a position of absolute weakness. After weeks or months of feeling her pull away, of sensing her contempt simmering beneath the surface, your anxiety finally boils over. You stage the talk. You sit her down with a pained expression and utter the words that are the final nail in the coffin of her attraction. We need to talk. I feel like you've been distant lately. Is everything okay with us? You think you are opening a channel for honest communication. What you are actually doing is begging. You are on your knees, pleading for a scrap of affection, for a reassurance that you haven't been fired from a job you were never truly hired for. You have exposed your fear, your neediness, and your complete lack of control. You have confirmed everything she has been suspecting for months, that you are a boy in a man's body, terrified of being abandoned. Her silence in the weeks prior was a weapon. Her silence was dominance, not inattention. She was watching you, testing you, waiting to see if you had the strength to either command her attention back or walk away. She was waiting for a man of action. Instead, she got a man of weak words. And when you finally spoke, you didn't state a new reality. You asked for her to fix the old one. The ultimate act of surrender in this conversation is the apology. She lists her vague dissatisfactions. I just feel like we're in a rut, or I don't feel that spark anymore. Your instinct is to fix it, to promise to be better, to apologize. I'm sorry. I'll do better. I'll plan more dates. I'll be more attentive. When you apologized, you signed your surrender. You accepted the blame for her lack of attraction, a phenomenon that you did not cause, but that your weakness failed to prevent. You validated her frame that the problem was you, and that you needed to change to please her. The game was already over. She was just negotiating the terms of your unconditional defeat. Now, I can hear the objections rattling around in your skull. The social programming is fighting back. Isn't this just being a selfish, unempathetic jerk? Am I not supposed to care about her feelings? You are confusing strength with cruelty. A leader is not a dictator. A rock is not unfeeling. It is about where your sense of self originates. Does it come from within, a deep, internal well of self-respect and purpose? Or does it come from her, a fragile cup you hold out, begging her to fill it? Being a man of purpose does not mean you ignore her. It means your purpose comes first. It means you build a life so compelling, so driven, that she is desperate to be a part of it. You don't abandon your mission to make her your mission. That is the fatal error. Another objection. But what if I do all this and she leaves? This is the fear that has kept you in your cage. Let's apply some brutal, cold logic. If a woman leaves you because you developed a backbone, because you started leading, because you stopped begging for her approval and started living by your own code, then she was never attracted to the man you are meant to be. She was only attracted to the servant you were pretending to be. You have not lost a partner. You have shed a parasite. Her departure is not a rejection. It is a filter. It is the world's way of removing someone from your life who is incompatible with your newfound strength. The fear of her leaving is the very chain that guarantees she will lose respect for you. Outcome independence is the only path to true power. You must be willing to lose her to be worthy of keeping her. It's time for a roll call. The strategies we discuss here are not for theorists. They are for men on the front lines of emotional warfare. Before we proceed, you must declare your position. Hit the like button as a strike against the man you used to be. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to ensure you receive every strategic briefing. And in the comments, I want you to answer a simple question that cuts to the bone of this entire issue. How many times have you apologized for something you didn't do, or for simply voicing an opinion just to keep the peace? Answer with a simple yes or no in the comments. Let the world see the silent army that is now finding its voice. This erosion of your power didn't just happen in your romantic life. Work, your boss dropped a last-minute project on your desk at 5 p.m. on a Friday. You said yes with a smile, thinking you were being a team player. What you actually communicated is that your personal time has no value, that your boundaries are non-existent. You taught him he can exploit you. With your friends, one of them constantly cancels plans at the last minute. You say, "No problem, man, I get it." You've just taught him that your time is not worth respecting. In every one of these scenarios, you chose the path of least resistance. You chose to be liked over being respected. And your fall happens in the silence, in the hesitation, in the yes born of fear. You see it now, don't you? The diagnosis is clear. You have been systematically dismantling your own throne, and now you are shocked that you are kneeling. This is the truth. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Because only by understanding the precise mechanics of your failure can you begin to engineer your victory. There's no going back to the weak man. Only the construction of the new one. The man you were is a casualty of a war you didn't know you were fighting. Do not mourn him. He was a liability. His existence was a strategic error. Now begins the reconstruction, and this is not an emotional journey of self-discovery. This is a cold, tactical re-engineering of your entire operating system. It is the demolition of a prison, and the forging of a fortress in its place. Your campaign to reclaim your sovereignty is governed by 3 commands. Memorize them. Internalize them. They are your new religion. Command 1. Cut the excess. Command 2. Install silence. Command 3. Control the reaction. This is not about feeling better. It is about becoming better. It is about becoming formidable. The first protocol you will initiate is the strategic reinstallation of scarcity. You have made yourself abundant. You were always available, always responsive, a utility she could tap into at will. Your presence was like tap water, convenient, expected, and utterly without value. You will now become a desert oasis, a resource so rare it inspires obsession. This is achieved by disappearing, not with a dramatic announcement, not with a tearful, "I need space" message that begs for a reaction. That is the plea of a weak man seeking validation for his own departure. Your disappearance will be a silent, surgical removal of your presence from her life. You will vanish without a trace. No final text, no last call, no cryptic social media post. One moment you are there, a predictable fixture in her world. The next, you are a void. This act is a declaration of war on her expectations. Her mind, which has neatly filed you away under reliable and harmless, will be thrown into a state of cognitive dissonance. The human brain abhors a vacuum. It will scramble to fill the void you have created. Where did he go? Is he okay? Is he with someone else? Did I push him away? Notice how the questions inevitably turn inward. By removing yourself from the equation without explanation, you force her to question her own position, her own power. You have seized control of the narrative by refusing to write the final chapter. You have become a mystery, and mystery is the fertile ground where the shadow desire begins to take root. She was bored with the solved puzzle. Now she is confronted with a locked box, and she will burn with the need to know what's inside. This is not a game of playing hard to get. It is a statement of becoming hard to find. You are no longer in her orbit. You are a distant star, and she must now question if she even has a telescope powerful enough to see you. The second protocol is the imposition of weaponized silence. After a period of your complete absence, a week, a month, it depends on the tactical situation, she will likely reach out. This is not a sign of her renewed attraction. It is a power play. It is an attempt to re-establish control, to confirm that you are still on the hook, waiting for her signal. Her text will be casual, designed to elicit a response without revealing her own investment. "Hey, just thinking of you. Hope you're okay." Or, "Saw this and thought of you." The man you were would have leaped at this, his heart pounding with a pathetic mix of hope and relief. He would have replied instantly, a long paragraph pouring out his feelings, validating her, and immediately surrendering his newfound position of power. You will not. Your response will be silence. A silence so profound, so absolute, it is louder than any words you could ever type. Every hour that passes without your reply is a hammer blow to her ego. It communicates a message of devastating power. You are no longer relevant. Your attempts to engage me are not a priority. My world does not stop and start at the sound of a notification from you. This is not the angry, pouting silence of a child. It is the calm, indifferent silence of a king who does not entertain jesters. Do not reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. If a second or third attempt is made, your interaction must remain minimal and unpredictable. She sends a paragraph. You reply 6 hours later with a single neutral word. Good. Fine. You give her nothing to work with, no emotional data to analyze. You are a black box. This asymmetry in communication drives her to invest more and more energy into an interaction that yields diminishing returns. She becomes the supplicant. You become the prize. This leads to the third and most vital protocol, the absolute and relentless focus on your own hierarchy. The silence and scarcity you create are not an empty void for you to wallow in. That is the time you use to build your empire. This is a total war, fought on 4 fronts. The first is the physical front. You will treat your body not as a vessel for comfort, but as a weapon system. The gym becomes your forge. Every drop of sweat is you melting down the weak man and recasting him into something harder, more disciplined. This is not about vanity. It is about embodying power. A man who has physical dominion over his own body projects an aura of control that is felt before a single word is spoken. The second front is financial. Your work, your career, your business is no longer a job. It is a military campaign. You will attack it with a singular focus. Your ambition, which you may have tempered to make her feel comfortable, will be unleashed. A man's ability to acquire and manage resources is a primal signal of competence. While you are silent to her, you will be making noise in the world. You are building a kingdom, and the sheer gravity of your success will be a force she cannot ignore. Third front is social. You will amputate the parts of your social life that were dependent on her and cultivate a new circle, a network of allies. You will be seen in new places, with new people, engaged in new activities. Your life will not only go on without her, it will visibly, demonstrably, become more interesting. You are not a sad man waiting by the phone. You are a general expanding his territory. The fourth front is symbolic. This is the acquisition of status and skill. Learn a new language, master a musical instrument, learn to fight, become an expert in a field that commands respect. These are not hobbies, they are trophies. They are symbols of your discipline and your ever-expanding competence. They communicate that you are a man on a mission, a man whose purpose is so vast and compelling that the drama of a single relationship is but a footnote. This is the ultimate reframing. You are not trying to win her back. You are building a life so powerful that her presence or absence becomes strategically irrelevant. The man who wants to be loved will be discarded. The man who imposes presence will be feared. And in the secret language of female desire, fear and respect are two sides of the same golden coin. You will be an absence that has weight, not a presence that begs. This is the blueprint. It is not a hope. It is a plan of attack. Every step is a calculated move on the chessboard of human dynamics. Now, for the men who are ready to stop playing checkers and start commanding the board. Your first move is to declare your allegiance to this new reality. Strike the like button as a symbol of the death of your old self. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications, for this is now your strategic command center. And in the comments below, I want you to answer one question that will define your commitment to this path. Have you ever felt more powerful by what you didn't say than by anything you did? If you understand the immense power of calculated silence, comment with a single word: Dominion. Let's see the army that is assembling, the men who are ready to trade their pleas for power. This is not about getting her back. This is about getting yourself back, but not the self you were. It's about forging the man you were always meant to be. A man whose silence is a statement, whose absence is a weapon, and whose presence is a force that commands the respect you will no longer ask for. Simply take it. The war is over. Not because you won a decisive battle, but because you rendered the enemy irrelevant. The battlefield you once bled on, that desperate landscape of her approval and rejection, is now nothing more than a historical footnote in the story of your rise. Remember the ghost you were? The man in the corner of the bar, a monument to his own inadequacy? He was a strategic sacrifice, a necessary casualty burned on the altar of your ambition. You did not heal him, you replaced him. And then, as it is written in the immutable laws of power and attraction, she returns, not with an apology, for her kind rarely possess the self-awareness for such things. She returns with a probe, a casual text message sent late at night, a like on a social media photo from 3 years ago. It is a reconnaissance mission, an attempt to see if the ghost still haunts the machine. She sees the ripples of your new life, the success, the discipline, the aura of purpose that now surrounds you. The man she discarded as a solved puzzle has become an enigma, and her ego cannot stand it. The boredom she felt has curdled into a gnawing curiosity, the ugly twin sister of respect. Perhaps she engineers an encounter. You are at a cafe, a gallery, a place your old self would have never been. You are not there for her. You are there for you. She approaches, a practiced, slightly nervous smile on her face. She says your name, and in this moment, the entire universe of your past holds its breath, waiting for your reaction. The old you would have felt a surge of adrenaline, a toxic cocktail of vindication and resurrected hope. His heart would have hammered against his ribs. He would have seen this as his chance, the moment to show her what she lost, to finally win the argument. But you are not him. You look up from your book or your conversation, and your eyes meet hers. There is no anger. There is no pain. There is no triumphant smirk. There is only a brief, calm, and utterly devastating flicker of non-recognition. It is the look one gives to a stranger who has mistaken them for someone else. You do not even grant her the dignity of a cold shoulder. To be cold requires an investment of energy. You offer her nothing. You offer her a void. Your silence is not a weapon you are wielding. It is the natural atmosphere of your new world, an environment in which her influence simply cannot exist. You might give a slight, dismissive nod before turning your attention back to what is important, back to your mission. You have not slammed the door in her face. You have simply demonstrated that, to you, there was never a door there to begin with. This is the final, brutal lesson. The chessboard you were playing on, where every move was about capturing her queen, was a distraction. You thought the goal was to checkmate her. But the real victory was not to flip the board over in a fit of rage. The victory was to simply stand up and walk away from the table. To leave the game entirely because you had a universe to build. Her power over you was entirely dependent on your participation in her reality. By creating a reality of your own, one forged in discipline, silence, and relentless purpose, you made hers obsolete. She is a black and white photograph in a high-definition world. Your emotional state is no longer a currency she can devalue. Your time is no longer a resource she can plunder. Your attention is no longer a prize she can compete for, because you are no longer hosting that competition. You have achieved a state of such profound outcome independence that her return is not a victory, nor is her continued absence a loss. It is simply data. It is the wind blowing outside the walls of a fortress. You notice it, and you forget it. This is the ultimate revenge. Not to make her suffer, but to become so absorbed in your own ascent that her existence becomes a negligible footnote. You did not destroy her world. You simply made yours so much bigger that hers is no longer visible from your altitude. This is the manifesto of your new sovereignty. Your worth is not negotiated in the currency of female validation. It is forged in the solitude of your discipline. Your power is not demonstrated by the words you speak, but by the deafening silence of your focus. Your legacy is not defined by the woman you capture, but by the empire you build. You do not seek respect. You command it by becoming a force of nature. Your absence will teach them more about your value than your presence ever could. Let them wonder. Let them watch from a distance. Let their regret be their own private prison. You are too busy building a kingdom to ever visit them there. Your final strategic directive is to make this philosophy your reality. This is not a theory to be debated. It is an operating system to be installed. As a final declaration of your commitment to this new code, you will take action now. Strike the like button as a final salute to the weak man you are leaving for dead. Subscribe to this channel and, most importantly, activate all notifications, because this is no longer entertainment. This is your arsenal. And in the comments, you will answer the final, defining question. Think of the last time a woman tested you with a sarcastic remark, a last-minute cancellation, or a moment of disrespect. Did you react with words, trying to explain or defend yourself? Or did you react with a powerful, decisive silence? Answer below with only one word. Words or silence. Let the roll call of the new order begin. The day she finally understands the man you've become will be the day she realizes she no longer has the clearance to speak to him.